All right, so before we start, you got it? Any questions still from this morning or last session? Hello? No?
On a break, I'd just like to ask a question. There's a little help on how to post the movie, but I'll show you
Okay.
on a break.
Posting
We can
videos?
capture.
And we have some of these sessions are a little short today, so we may go back and fill in some stuff if we have questions. So,
Test.
and I would say to the online audience as well, if you have a pending question, something you meant to ask and didn't get around to, we may have room this afternoon, and we'll let you know. But feel free to either put those in the chat room or send them to the Nemo Team's Gmail, and Serena will pick it up there and then read it into the room as we have been doing. Other than that, no immediate questions. Look, we only lost one after lunch. That's pretty good.
These are round.
Okay, we're going to get started. Second half of the second day. Hopefully we haven't lost everybody yet. So we're going to talk about archiving and analytics. Why does anyone think archiving is important? Any ideas? Any of the federal people know why? Tell me.
Liability.
Why is archiving important, especially if you're a Fed?
Well, for records retention.
That's right.
Yeah.
And on incidents, if you're on an incident, I mean, it's because of records retention in general amongst agencies, but for federal agencies especially, there's a final fire package, when we're on a fire, and that final fire package requires documentation. And documentation, as far as what that is, has changed. Since it used to be, we clipped it out of a newspaper and glued it to a page, and that's what we turned in. We don't do that anymore. So now, documentation, especially from the PIO unit, we do a lot of searches online and print out pages. It's documentation of the media coverage that we get offline as opposed to clipping out. But now there are the questions about how do you document social streams? Because they move all the time, I mean, and if you're busy, you've got hundreds of pages, and your blog bounces over to an archive. Can I just give you a URL to my blog and call it good? Well, URLs break. So putting a URL into a digital, sometimes we now do digital documentation for the documentation package. If I put a URL in there, it's all fine and good, but 10 years from now when they drag that box off the shelf because there's a lawsuit, the URL might not be good. So it doesn't really meet the intent of documentation, which is a permanent record. So I can tell you what we did in OneFire. We don't have this anymore. It was when we first started this, is we were using a program called KeepStream, which doesn't, this was in 2011, it doesn't exist anymore. But in KeepStream, you could, I refer to it as pushing. You'd find a URL of something and you'd push it over to KeepStream. You just keep dumping your URLs in KeepStream. So you had a running account of all of your URLs. You could look up everything you had, but they were just URLs. And what we had to do the last couple days of the fire, it took two people, sat there with KeepStream and brought each of them over into Adobe Pro, I think. I don't know if it's Adobe Pro, Adobe Acrobat. One of them opens URLs when you push it in. I can't remember which one it is. But one of them, whatever they were using, you dump it into Adobe Pro or whatever, it would open the URL, and then we would save that as a PDF. Pull over the next one, open it. It was labor intensive, but it let us create the open document of the URLs for our documentation file. I personally have not found a tool that is perfect for doing what we needed to do. That is, can I throw this URL over there? It will open it up and save it as a PDF. Wouldn't that be nice? I haven't. Maybe Nathan has a better idea, but so far I've only found ways to save URLs and then go through the rather laborious step of opening them and saving them that way. But I have full faith that he'll have a great idea. The whole part about archiving is also important when you have something happen. I don't We should, I should say we should. I don't archive every single day's worth of tweets or every single day's worth of Facebook. We just usually don't have time. We probably should. If I had a more automated way to do it, I probably would. What I do is I watch for, remember the purpose to documentation is if something happens in the future, if there's a lawsuit or something like that, what are they going to come back looking for? So I look for the things that are most likely included in that scenario. Like if we had an evacuation, and any evacuation, is any of the Twitter traffic, all of our tweets, because remember they're timed, it shows times, our Facebook posts, when we post that, grab a screenshot or grab a screenshot of the Twitter account or whatever you have to do. So you're saying, this is when we said it's time to evacuate. This is when we said, no, you have to leave that area too, or whatever is going on in that special situation. We try to capture those screens and save those so that if somebody comes back and says, well, I'm suing the government because they didn't ever tell us we had to evacuate, and we have at least evidence that on our front we did, and here's the time, and here's the date, and here's when we did it. So we have proof that that's what happened. So you look, for me, I look for those controversial sort of situations when something might be in question. But obviously, it's totally subjective. I might miss something and not capture something I should have, because you sometimes don't know ahead of time that it's going to be the controversial thing, right? So it's important to there's archiving, which is important to do just because we need it for documentation and figuring out how to do that. He'll go over some of that thing, but using analytics is an interesting thing. We all want to see, we think it's great to have analytics, so we say, oh, let's find out how many followers we have and find out how many, but think about this in terms of your communication strategy. Why do you care? Unless you're going to do something with the information, why would you go to the trouble? I mean, why do you care that you have 500 followers? I mean, maybe it's that you need to prove to your boss, but you can read that at the bottom of the page. You don't need an analytics program to do that. So, like anything, decide what it is, what part of your communication strategy analytics plays. And if you will change your strategy based on things you know, like maybe I'll just make this up, but maybe you look at analytics and you find that, we have a huge following from lunch to 1 in this community, and we have a huge following at 8 p.m. Okay, that's interesting to me because I'll make sure that if I have important information to put out, I'm going to put it out from during those times when I can see we normally have peak traffic. It just makes sense. So you want to decide, what's your plan for gathering it, and then what are you going to do with that information? We have a Lee St. Dennis, who's at University of Colorado, has been following me around since 2011 on fires, doing research for her PhD. And we are still, even since 11, she's still working on the filtering mechanisms to be able to mine things like Twitter data and find me useful information. And we have a lot of conversations about what is useful information. As she looks at the data and she says, well, I have the filter on, so I can now tell you if a media person or, what media cover, which one of your tweeters were media? I'm like, well, thank you, but so what? I don't care. I don't care what media is covering me. If you could do some sentiment analysis and tell me whether they're mad or happy, that might help me make some decisions about who I need to talk to personally, one-on-one, or make an extra effort or something. Sentiment analysis is a very new and touchy thing. It's really hard to get anybody locked into, do you really do quality sentiment analysis? I was interested in sentiment analysis. What if we could have you run sentiment analysis before my team got there, in the community as a whole, and then we ran it after we were there for 2 weeks? What would that tell me?
Happy or not.
Whether anybody got, and happy might be a little strong for someone in the middle of a crisis, but did we change the feeling fundamentally in the community by our outreach, by our efforts? Did people feel more communicated with? Did they feel cared for? If we could judge a change in sentiment based on us being there, or did it get worse? That might be useful. So you have to think about what it is you're going to do with analytic data before you just say, we need some analytics. And there are easy free ones, which Nathan will show you, and you can just look at those. They'll tell you where people are logging in from. Oh, they're from Europe and China and Japan and the West Coast, East Coast, and who all they are. You can tell what What's one thing that's pretty interesting is you can see what platforms they're accessing your information. How many of them are using iPads or mobile applications? Now, how might that help you? What could you do if you knew that the majority of your users were accessing from a phone? What would you do with that information? No ideas? You'd try to make sure that your applications, your information was mobilely accessible, that you'd use QR codes, you'd use things that people can do. You'd make sure that the platforms, like Facebook, is much more accessible on a smartphone than a blog is or than IncieWeb is. So I'm going to focus on those things accessible from smartphones because I know the majority of my audience is accessing our data that way. So analytics, easy to come by. You can pay for them. You can get all kinds of analytics questions. What are you going to do with it? So once you decide which analytics you're going to use, if you're going to buy, Meridian 6 and pay for it, great. But you got to have a clear. Nobody's going to want to pay for it until you have a clear plan on what it is you plan to do with that information and how you're going to use it to change your strategy. So we'll let Nathan talk to you about specifics.
So we're going to try to walk you through how to use the basic, very free, by very free I mean completely free, tools to do the simple archiving of what you have put out either on the blog or on your Twitter account or on your Facebook page. We're going to cover those 3 today. We're going to use the free tools that are provided inherently by Twitter and by Facebook, and hopefully most everybody in here has a decent working version of Adobe so that you can print to a PDF. We're going to make sure if the simplest way to archive anything is to simply take your computer screen, whatever's on it, and print it to PDF. Or if you can't print to PDF, print it to a printer. I mean, that's the dead simple, easiest way to do anything if you're in a pinch.
Can I jump in real quick? Somebody just reminded me, I totally forgot the last point I was going to make. One of the reasons why you want to do archiving as well and keep what you have and everything you have, even the data streams, is it's all FOIable. If you're doing it on a FHIR, Freedom of Information Act, for those who don't know, it's all FOIable. So, and the deal is usually your person, say on a forest, there's someone in charge of FOIA. That person may not even know that you have Skype traffic, Twitter traffic. They may not even know what you're using and won't even ask you for it, but because they usually come and they have a set list of things to ask for. But if they know that's what you're doing, you will have to provide all of your traffic, and all that kind of stuff is FOIable. So that's why it's important. So thank you to the online crowd for reminding me of that.
So the key piece to keep in mind here is that you want to know how to do some of this stuff before your incident happens. If you catch yourself after the incident trying to archive stuff, there are tools that you can use to make that happen, but usually it's a bit of a cumbersome and maybe time-consuming and maybe costly process. So we're going to show you, we're going to start off with Twitter. We're going to go to analytics.twitter.com. Just within the past, maybe past a year or so, Twitter has opened up its analytics to everyone. So if you just go to twitter.com, you're going to go into your account that you're logged into. Take your browser and instead type analytics.twitter.com. And I don't want to do that. Let's just type it in. Come on. There we go. Now it takes you to a very different screen. It says, measure and boost your impact on Twitter. Turn your analytics on. I'm going to turn my analytics on. Hey, look at that. That was really simple. Now I have analytics. It's literally that simple. If you tried to do this a year ago, it would not have been that simple. Twitter is trying to improve their ability for you to get basic statistics and analytics. So what you can see down here, and it's kind of hard to see because it's a little small, but you've got each one of your little tweets here, and it will give you some statistics on what's going on here. And because I'm not following very many people and not very many people are following us for this exercise, you can see I don't have very good stats on any of these things. But I can see over here impressions. These are some of the standard definitions or terms that you're going to hear when it comes to analytics. How many impressions did your message get? And you have to be really careful with these terms because people throw them around like they know what they're talking about, and oftentimes they mean different things. And the best practice is to go back to the platform you got the statistic from and find out how they are defining the term. So here, if you take your cursor and you hover over the word impressions, it'll tell you this is the number of times users saw this tweet on Twitter. Okay, that's pretty simple. So right now, nobody's seeing any of my tweets. That's kind of sad. Here, total number of times a user has interacted with the tweet. This includes all clicks anywhere on the tweet, including hashtags, links, avatar, username, and tweet expansion, retweets, replies, followers, and favorites. So my guess is we haven't really analyzed this content yet. That's why there's a dash here, because I don't know how I get 5 engagements without any impressions. That doesn't make much sense to me. Engagement rate, number of engagements, divided by the total number of impressions. So they have this little formula that you could say X number of people or percentage of people engaged with me, and you'll see that number show up over here. Tweets and replies, you can, instead of just looking at your tweets itself, you can measure your replies as well. If you paid for a campaign, that's where you would track it right there. Gives you a little bit more statistics on the side, and you really have to get into your Twitter account and analyze what you've been putting out to see what these mean and to you and what you can learn from it. I can come over here and I can change the time frames. All right, let's look up here. It's giving me a notice. This is why my stats are a little off. Impressions and engagement metrics will be collected for your tweet starting right now. Tweet to get started and check back in 24 hours. So basically, it hasn't had a chance to crunch the numbers to give me good numbers on what I have going on already. It's kind of, I expected that to be the case. So if you have already tweeted a whole bunch of times and you've never checked your analytics, it could take a little while for it to crunch the numbers and get you some good stats. I'm going to go ahead and dismiss that. Notice up here that you can change the time frame. So if you've had a Twitter account for the last who knows how long, you can go back in time and then have it update for that time frame. Okay, what you can then do now is what I really want you to learn from this is how can you get this off of Twitter to archive it. So it's no longer dependent on Twitter for you to keep this archive. Because we all know that I can go to twitter.com and see all the tweets I sent out, right? They're right here. So is that not good enough? They're sitting right here. But any of these can be, in theory, deleted or changed or moved or whatever, or just deleted, or who knows, Twitter crashes someday and you don't have an archive. And the other piece is, Twitter is getting better about this, but if you've tweeted for a very, very long time and you want to find a tweet from 3, 4, 5 years ago, it's a little difficult to do sometimes to find that tweet. So archiving it is the best way to go. Come back over to your Twitter analytics, again, analytics.twitter.com. You've picked the time frame that you want. So we started this account yesterday, and it's only today. So I'm going to update that. Yay! And we'll see if this works. If it doesn't, I'll demonstrate it on one of my older accounts. Hit this export data to get it kind of think. Look, it's trying to download a file. So I'm going to go find a file to put this in. And for training purposes, I will put it in the Google Drive folder that everyone has access to. Keep in mind, you will not have access to this right away. I'm going to have to sync the Drive folder once I get done with this class. I'm not going to turn the Drive sync on until we're done because I don't want to mess up the live stream and put too much pressure on my computer. So if you want to see what this looks like, you can later, or better yet, download your own, which you're going to do in your exercise, and you can see what it looks like. So it's downloaded my file. I'm using Google Chrome, and Google Chrome puts it right down here in the bottom. Just for you guys, if you ever lose that file for some reason, it goes away. Let's just hypothetically say it goes away. Where did that file go? You can come over here to your ... on the side, come on down to downloads, and it'll show you everything you ever downloaded right here. So I can open it up right from here, or I can have it show me in the folder. We'll go ahead and have it show me in the folder. And it's popping over here on my other screen. And I'm going to open it up. It's a CSV file. So it's going to be a Excel document. And it's popped up over here again. Whoa, not sure why it got all funky there. All right, so that looks a little confusing, right? What in the world is going on here? This is actually really good data that you can use. You just have to clean it up to make sure you can understand what's here. Come on over here, you drag your cursor across, and you'll see your tweet ID. What is that? This is, I'm going to switch screens here, so don't get confused. Let's find the last tweet we tweeted here. Go to that exact link. You see this right here? That's your Twitter ID. That is the ID number for this tweet. So I'm going to switch back to my CSV file. Again, this tweet ID matches that URL. So now you know what's in the first column. Tweet permalink. What is that? Well, that is exactly what it sounds like. That is the link to this tweet. So if I come into another tab here, there you go. So that's the exact link. Go back to your CSV file. What is this? That is the actual tweet text.
We kind of lost.
Yeah, we're not,
Streaming your-
spreadsheet's not streaming.
The spreadsheet's not streaming. I know why. Man, I don't know why necessarily. Let's try. Stand by so I can make sure that the stream is showing the correct thing. And I believe it's because Desktop Presenter has crashed on my computer. Hang tight.
And the online people are saying one more time for the cheap seats. The screens are switching too fast, so
Okay.
Well, the spreadsheet doesn't even come up at all.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
my
Just a whole bunch of little lines all over the place.
Desktop Presenter has crashed. Give me a second to pull it back up. I'm going to go ahead and change my resolution on here. Any questions that people have while I sort this out?
nothing.
I know people have questions.
So with the analytics, should I get the
Microphone. Will you hand her the mic?
So with the analytics, these numbers are telling us how far our message reached, right?
Partially, yes.
Okay. It's, maybe it kind of
Because
just,
you're looking. There's a. Let me turn my.
Is this any better?
Gotcha.
I'm just
Okay.
gonna, let me answer just for a second. It kind of depends. Sometimes you're telling you how many people are seeing something is different than how many people click on something.
okay.
And so it depends what you're trying to measure. Impressions, if mine says I've made these, I've had this, so many people have seen my tweet. All that means is if I have 700 followers, it got posted on their timeline. Whether they actually had eyes on their timeline, no idea. So really, that's why having a link on something helps, because you can count click-throughs, and then you'll know who
Okay.
actually touched it and said this was important
Okay.
enough to do something.
But we don't know if, it's really telling us like those numbers of, I'll say touches on people, as opposed to how, we can't really measure any action that they may take beyond like going to another web page. You can't see if you've really changed any behavior.
You can tell if they've retweeted.
Okay.
You can tell if they favorited. You can tell if they clicked through to the link you put on. Those things are countable. But that's why you want to put those things in there, because if you just have things are going well today, all I can tell then is if they've retweeted or favorited, but I can't tell if they read it and thought that was, and copied it and posted it to their Facebook page. I can't tell any of those things.
Well, do you ever make inferences as if you have a high percentage of people take action on your tweet that is related to your credibility? Can you make that inference that if,
Well, I'll give you an example. I mean, the best evidence that I've ever seen of proving that Twitter works sitting in the Waldo Canyon Fire Joint Information Center. I am doing joint role of answering phones as well as running social media. And I'm also seeing the TV with the crawlers underneath. And I don't remember what the scenario was or what was happening at the time, probably a road closure or something. And we would have people calling about, can I get to my house? Can I get to my house? This crawler would be saying, and I would be able to pick up on, okay, these are the main calls that are coming in. I clearly see a pattern here. And I would say, hey, can I, to the lead PIO or the JIC manager, whoever it was at the time, can I send out a tweet saying that this road is open or closed or whatever it is so we can clarify this message? I would send that out with the approval, and no joke, within 5-10 minutes, the phone stopped ringing, the crawlers were changed. That is the type of evidence that proves to me that this works. You can prove some of that with these statistics, but all the fancy tools, all the statistics and all the analysis does not replace the human that's looking at it. You have to have somebody looking at it to interpret what it all means. We have another question?
Yeah, there was one question on are there other file formats besides the CSV for download files?
Currently, my understanding is using this free tool that Twitter offers, it is only available in the CSV. You can come in here like I'm doing and clean it up and sort it around and then resave it into some other format as you like after it's downloaded. There's another question in the back before we carry on.
Hang on, Sean. Yes, I got those.
One thing I did notice is that private messages don't
Correct.
get archived.
That's another issue in and of itself. Correct. This is not archiving your direct messages between you and somebody else that you shared privately. So if you want to archive that, then that's going to take an extra step. And you know, I've never had somebody ask me to archive that. So that's a good thing to bring up, because that is something that you probably should have archived, and that would be a little more difficult, and you're probably going to end up doing a lot of copy and paste and screenshot type stuff to get that archived in a good format. So I'm not sure when things started to go south on me, so I'm going to demonstrate once again how I got that CSV file. You go to analytics.twitter.com. If you haven't logged in already, you're going to have to log in. And my screen has changed a little bit here, so I want to go to tweets, I believe. Yep. And what I did is I selected my time frame up here from the 10th to the 11th. That's how long this account's been open, and I hit export data. That did its little thing. It spun around, and it gives me a link. I'm not going to open up that since I've already done it once. Then I came into my downloads over here on the right, and there's the file that I downloaded. Okay, I already have that opened up. This is what the CSV file looks like. This number here matches the tweet ID, which is at the end of the URL on the string. You can actually see it right here. So you see that number right there. That's what that is. The next column over in column C is the actual tweet itself. So the only thing that you're missing here is any images that you put in there. It's not really giving you a good archive of that image. What it is doing is it's giving you inside the tweet, this one right, let's see, this tweet right here, for example, one of these is an image. If I go back over here, copy that link in. So that is this image right here. So that's the one downside to doing it this way, is you're not going to get the image saved in here anyplace. But at the end of your fire or your event, if you're asked to document what you posted on Twitter publicly, this will do the trick for that. It will also give you all these columns over here are those statistics that haven't filled in on my account because it hasn't been around long enough. But your account will have more statistics here, and you can go blue in the face trying to analyze all that. If you have somebody who's really savvy with Explorer, or not Explorer, but Excel, you could turn this into graphs and charts and all sorts of pretty things. Alternatively, you can pay many third-party services to do that for you. There are many tools out there that will do that for you. Make sure you do your research before you pick a tool and spend a lot of money. So that's how you do it on Twitter. We'll close that out. On Facebook, you start off with going to facebook.com. You can see I'm already logged in as Ready Colorado. Let's go ahead and change that over to our training page today, wherever it went. There it is. Notice I have this little tab called Insights. This is where you're going to go for statistics on Facebook. It's Insights. Now, I just barely made it over the threshold to get to the point where Insights show up. You're not going to have Insights until you have at least 30 likes on your page. That is I believe that's the cutoff where you have to have at least 30 before they start giving you the stats. So thanks to all of you guys in this room, we are able to get the stats. And if you come on here to Insights, I'm going to have to zoom out a bit so you can see. Again, we went in here, we found the page that we're logged in as. We have 30 likes. Right up here on the top, there's Insights. We're hitting on Insights. You can see here I have a whole bunch of different options: overview, likes, reach, visits, posts, and people. So right away you can see I can get all sorts of stats on what's going on here. What's showing on right now? I'm showing data from 3/5/15 up to 3/11/2015, which is obviously I don't have anything going on before yesterday because this account didn't exist until yesterday. It's going to tell me how many likes I've received this week. What percentage is it up or down from last week? Obviously it's up. Post reach, how many people have I reached? And if you want a definition of that, you can get a little bit more detailed information by clicking there. So you see how it jumped from overview to reach. And engagement. So you're talking about how do I know what people actually did with this information? Well, that's what your engagement tab is for. If I click on engagement, it'll tell me some stuff. And obviously these graphs are not very good because I don't have very much content on here. But what did people do? Did they like, comment, or share? How many people did it reach, first off? What did they do? Did they like, comment, or share on that post? Did they hide it? Did they report it as spam? Or did they unlike my page as a result? If people are unliking your page as a result, that's a hint that you're doing something wrong. Total reach, the total number of people who were served any activity from your page, including your posts, posts to your page by other people, page likes, ads, mentions, and others. So if you take everything into consideration, what have people done? So I have had 180 organic. Notice it says organic. That means that it happened naturally, as opposed to paid. If you actually paid to try to boost your message to Facebook, you would have additional statistics on how that paid campaign worked. Obviously, I haven't paid for anything, so I don't have any of those stats.
Can you repeat again? Where do you find Insight? Up on the right?
Again, Insights, let's start from scratch. So let's say I'm up here as myself.
Yes.
Okay? I need to switch over to the page I want. So I'm going to go find the page.
Oh, you only get it on a page, not your profile.
Yeah. Okay, well, that brings up a good point. If you're on your own profile, you can still download your statistics. So why don't we just show you that for kicks and giggles. You come on down here to settings. Let's see if I can remember where it is. Is it security, privacy, timeline, and tagging? I wrote myself a note earlier thinking that I might show this. Review, practice, make sure they like. There is a button down here somewhere if I can find it. I thought it was here in general. Download a copy of your Facebook data. So it's a little link down here at the bottom underneath general. This will download a copy of your personal history on Facebook. So that's a useful little thing to know because I've been on Facebook for a long time and maybe I want a copy of it. Maybe I don't know. But you could download your entire copy right there. And I believe if you click on that link, it's going to ask you for additional information, and you'll have to just follow those things. But that's for your personal information. If you got downloaded your personal and you handed that in at the your final Fire package, you have done the wrong thing, and you'll get some interesting emails. So you want to make sure you're on the page.
Where do you get to settings?
Settings again, where when you were on Facebook, right down. You're using. The question was, where do you get to settings? Well, you're on yourself, your personal profile. You come to the arrow, come on down to settings. Okay, we got to move on for time. Where did that silly page go? Again, now we're on the page we wanted to take a look at. Right up here on top, we have insights. So I'm showing that data. We walked through all these. Let's just click through total likes as of today. Yay. It'll give you a nice big graph. If you've been a while, you'll see a nice big graph there. Your reach, we talked about that already. Visits, not enough data to record visits on this. So it would tell you how many people are actually visiting your page. Posts, this is actual specific data on each post. So this is a good one because now you can come in here and take a look at each post and what exactly is it doing, how many people did it reach, and let me think here, does it tell you? No, it just orders it up. I will go ahead and find there is a document that Facebook has that explains what each one of these things mean, and I'll find that link and I'll post it into the Cool Links document. So you can see what's going on here. Clearly this post here received the most reach and engagement of any post, and that's probably because it was the second one with the live stream on it. So let's think about this. This post here, you click on the link, you can see what it was. This Engaged got so much content because it was a video. It was you could watch the live stream right on my Facebook page. And so the more engaging content that you get, the more people will stick around and hang out. That's why you want photos. That's why you want videos. That's why you want questions like, how is this fire affecting you? Did you have to evacuate? Or what did you take with you? What's the top 5 things that you took with you today? Ask questions, draw people into your page, and you'll get more statistics, higher stats. You can see here, it breaks it all down. You get all sorts of statistics. Okay, for the purpose of archiving, you come up here to hit the export button. So right up here on the upper left side of your screen, upper right side of your screen, excuse me, is the export button. Hit that export, it's going to bring up another screen. It says here there's a couple limitations. You can select a data file type, so here you can select either Excel or CSV, whichever you prefer. You can only export up to 500 posts at a time, so there's a limit on the date range. If you come in here and select a date range that includes more than 500 posts, you're going to have issues. For most people, you could probably be 500 posts. It takes a while to get to, so you'll be all right. Select your time frame. Obviously, we don't have anything from yesterday till today, so we're going to just do that. I want post data. Page data is going to give you the data for the big picture on your entire page, but I'm looking at archiving what I've posted. So let's go in here to post data, and I'm going to hit export data. My download has started. Give it a chance to think. Let's take this insight data, make sure it's in the right folder. It is. I'm going to save that. Here we go. We're going to open up that folder. It doesn't like something. I'm just going to say still open. Okay, this looks a little empty, but just keep in mind I've only posted 8 times or 6 or 7 times on here, so that's why it looks as empty as it is. But post ID, that's the same thing as like Twitter. It's the specific ID for that post. Here's the actual URL to the post. And now here is the message. Now notice we have a little bit of issues with this archive because if it was just a photo, all it does is say timeline photos. There was a photo that was loaded, so that doesn't do you much good. If you have text, that's when it archives the text. Okay? At least you have a text archive of what you've posted up there.
But you don't have, and my mic is on, you don't have comments or anything else off the page, just what you actually posted.
I don't believe you get the comments on this. I could be wrong. If someone knows more, let me know. But I don't know if I get comments on here. You can see I got a whole bunch of different statistics. So I could tell, I guarantee there's a metric tracking how many comments were on that. But does it actually track these, give you the text of the comments? I don't think so. Look at how long this thing is. There are stats upon stats upon stats. Okay, so here's another way that you can archive your social media traffic, but we've also highlighted a couple things that don't show up. You don't show your pictures, it doesn't show your videos, and it's obviously it's not archiving your engagement with other people. Then go back to that private message piece. This is not tracking that private message. So you'll need to come up with a different way to do some of that stuff. How might you do that? Again, the simplest way, let's take an example. Let's go to find one of these posts that has some comments on them, which I believe was the very first, not that one. This one here. So right from here, I can get some basic stats on this. I can know 11 people liked it, 4 people commented on it, and 1 person shared it. So I want to open this up to the full link. See how now I can see all the content underneath there that people have talked about, what they've commented on. One of the tricks that you can do on Google, the way this works on Google Chrome, it's going to work a little different on other platforms. I'm going to just hit Control P on my keyboard. And some of this is going to vary based on how powerful your Adobe products are, etc. I can save this as a PDF right here. If I change that, it's going to give you other options. I could also save it directly to my Google Drive, which is also going to be in a PDF format, I believe. So either one of these two options is a easy, quick go-to option to save this. I'm going to save it as a PDF. Let it think. And let's save this in the same folder. And I don't think it's going to give me a link, so I'm going to have to go find the folder. Stand by while I pull it up. Here you go. It's kind of hard to see because it's a little small. But now we have a PDF, and notice that my cursor changes here, so it's preserved these links. So these links are still active, which is a nice thing about the PDF. So not only did I get my text in here, I got my timestamp. Now granted, that says 22 hours, so it doesn't really give you a good date and timestamp. There's a flaw there.
The date top left.
There is a date top left is when you printed this. So that's not going to be necessarily terribly accurate to here. So that's something you need to be aware of. But it does give you the links. So if you wanted to go back and see the picture, the image, the video, or whatnot, you could click on those links and go straight there. And it saved all of your comment stream. And each one of these links are saved. Okay? So that's another tool that you can have under your belt. That is a free option. Same thing works if you're on your Blogger. I know we've gone a little over time, haven't we? We're way over that. We're eating into our exercise time. On Blogger, you have some basic statistics as well. So we're going to open up our blog that we've had. The overview section, you have some statistics, so I can see right from here that I had 158 page views yesterday. Okay? You can break that down a little bit more when you come down here to stats. See how it breaks it down? You get a little bit more. This is going to be, it's a little difficult to see what times these were at, per se, but you can kind of see the flow of traffic. Obviously, this was yesterday, this was today, so we had a little bit more engagement yesterday. Obviously, that's because we were training on Blogger, and today we've trained a little bit on it. You can break it down by posts, how many page views for each post. You can come back, and we talked about traffic sources. How are people getting here? So what URLs are people using to get here? This is really good to know on your incident or on your project. Are they coming in from my resources? Are they coming in from my Twitter account? Are they coming in from somebody else's Twitter account? From somebody's news site? It helps you identify who is sharing your information and who you need to target your information flow to. Same concept with the keywords down here. Let's go to audience. Audience here, obviously, it's fairly clear that we're in the United States and we have some friends up north who are participating. If anybody else was participating throughout the world, you'd see a little bit of shade in these other countries. And you can break it down by what people are using to view. So most people are using Chrome. Some are on Safari, some are on Firefox. So Safari, that told me we got a lot of people using mobile devices. Okay? Windows, Macintosh, Android, all that. Gives you an idea of who's using it and how they're using it. So let's show you how to archive here. There is no tool that I'm aware of that I can just come in here and say, download my archive. Let's go, so I revert back to my catch-all easy thing. I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna view my blog. Earlier today, I came in and changed my settings so that it would load as many posts as Blogger would allow me to load. So right now, it should literally load every post that people have posted between when we set this up yesterday and today. So I've got everything I want loaded in my screen. I do my Control P. I've got the save as PDF picked here. I hit save. It's going to download it over here and save it in there. I'm going to have to go find it.
And while he's finding it, let me add that you change that setting under when you open Blogger and you're in your dashboard, you go under settings down at the bottom. And on one of those, I don't know if it's basic, you look and it will tell you how many emails do you want to show on the page. So you can have 6 and then they bump to archive, or you can show all of them. If you change it, usually you don't have all of them show all the time, you just have 6 or 7, but you say show all of them, and then that's how you get them all to print.
So here you go, this is what the PDF looks like. And again, it's not going to be a perfect archive. You're going to have some of this side stuff is going to bleed over. But you can see how my cursor is changing again. So it's preserving the links. Here I can see it's preserving who posted it at what time, that kind of stuff. So there you have a very simple archive. I'm not trying to tell you that this is the best way to do it, because I don't think it is the best way to do it. But this is a quick and easy and simple way to first blush archive things. And you may want to come back later and clean things up and do it a little bit more with a bigger, better plan. So with that, we've shown you how to download your Twitter account, statistics, and your tweets. We've shown you how to use Facebook to download your archive there, and we've shown you how to view some Blogger stats and do the print to PDF. What we would like you to do with the exercise, we don't have much time to practice. We have about 15 minutes on our schedule to practice, would be for you to go into Twitter, Facebook, and download your archives, practice that, and then practice going on to Blogger and printing the Blogger to PDF to practice archiving things to PDF. Are there any questions? Any questions online? Okay, I will go ahead and put the exercise plan up on top here, and we will end this section. We'll be back promptly at 1:45 Eastern Time to begin the next module on policies and procedures. During that time, between now and then, if you have questions, continue to email them to nemoteams@gmail.com. Ask your questions on the comment stream on Ustream, and use your Twitter account to tweet your experience and questions to hashtag SMEMtraining15. Thank you.
I have a question here. This person is saying, I was trying to say for the personal page, go to the same drop-down arrow in the upper right, go to settings. When it opens, there's a box, under the box, the little letters that say download my data. She said, for a personal page only, I just tried that, and it only saved my personal data, not stats.
It may not give you detailed stats for your personal. I'm not sure. It may be very different. Your personal data may be very different than your page data.